What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone. It is Tuesday night, and you know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best wrestlers of today and yesteryear, and this night is no different. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is undefeated. You understand what I'm saying to you? 4 syllables. Undefeated in mixed martial arts competition. Listen, he is the Tough Enough winner, WWE. He is someone who almost made my buddy Kurt Angle, tap and had a lot of controversy, man. He still is he's a bad boy, but now, he's a good bad boy now. But, he's still someone you don't want to mess with. He's all about my life, my power. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Puder, how are you tonight, my man?
I'm blessed, brother. What's happening? How you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's great to have you on the show.
It's awesome to be here. My son, if you can see this, he's let's see here, right here. He's sleeping in bed right now.
Wow.
Little cutie. little cutie. It's amazing. So it's good.
How old?
He's 1 years old and 1 month. So it's 13, just turned 13. 13 months. 13 months,
man. Ooh, every time I see beauties like that, I get a little baby fever, but I'm too old to have any more kids, and I'm too established in my career, and I have 3, so I'm good, man. My last kid I had, I was 36, so.
Congrats! I just had my first one I had when I was 40. I love it. It's amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
You can have a couple more. That means you can have at least 5 more. Come on.
No. I'm 40 now, and I have 3, and I'm good. 9, 6, and 4 next week. So I'm good.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, good stuff, man. What are you up to nowadays?
Well, we own some private schools in South Florida, and we're transforming a lot of lives. We started, obviously, we have the nonprofit, My Life, My Power.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that since 2010 now. So that's been,
wow.
It's almost 12 years.
Wow.
So I'm excited with what we're up to with we have a big federal contract with that, and we're impacting, we did 16 states this year, and next year we're looking at 34 to 36 states.
Wow.
So it's just, it's amazing to be able to see. I'll do that in a few minutes. And so it's, it's absolutely a blessing to be able to impact communities. And we have our little branding agency. My business partner, Brittany, she just had her second baby. So she's doing a little maternity leave right now. And then my wife and I, we've been traveling a bunch for trainings and the community impact stuff, and getting some funders. We just got a big family office out of New Jersey on board to fund more schools. So everything's rock and rolling. I'm super blessed. And we almost have 600 students in our schools now, where we're graduating. Probably this year we'll graduate about 250 seniors. Man. So yeah, we'll have about 800 total this year by the end of the year.
Fantastic, man. That's super inspiring. What inspired you? I mean, I've interviewed you a few times, but for those who are listening on this platform, Sportskeeda, what inspired you to do My Life, My Power, and what's the concept behind it? And then before we jump into the questions, where can they find you on social media?
So they can check me out, My Life, My Power, MLMPI Prep Academy, Daniel Puder. You can go to all my Daniel Puder stuff. You can see all the links there: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We have some challenges in America. I've been international, third world countries, India. I've been down to Mexico. The areas I were very impoverished. Peru. Then I've been to Japan. I've been to Canada. I've been to Europe. So like seeing the big difference on one country versus another, we have so much opportunity here. And when I was with the Dalai Lama about 3 years ago, it was right before Black Friday. It was at this time 3 years ago, and we were in India. And what's crazy is we fly over to India, and we get off and we have transportation to our 5-star resort. We're like, oh, this is awesome. We walked like 2 blocks away from it, and they're literally going to the bathroom in the streets. Like there's like a sewer system. It's like a gutter. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I've never seen this before. And then we get out to St. Kitts, India, and the humans are the most amazing humans in the world that we're working with Youth Buddhist Society of India. Absolutely amazing. And they throw this event with the Dalai Lama with about 100,000 people with 0 porta potties.
Wow.
So you have 100,000 people in America at an event, 100 porta potties, right? Like 30 porta potties, right?
Right.
And they had a water pump. So you go and actually pump the water like old school, like we would do. And so I looked at this and I'm blown away by how loving and how happy, people are. And some of them don't have shoes, and some of them, it's just crazy, like what they don't have materially, but what they do have, like psychologically, spiritually, mentally. And then the Dalai Lama compared America to India. And he said, in America, what's interesting is people will wait for a week in front of the store to get the new shoes or cell phone or whatever that is. And they'll sit there for a week, but people will walk for a week in India to get wisdom, to be more spiritual, to be more connected, for community, whatever that is. Like it's really interesting on the different beliefs. So I've grown a ton with emotionally, psychologically, belief intelligence wise, to be able to create the best schools. Like we have multiple schools in South Florida now, and we take students who are homeless or who have been human trafficked or out of jail or foster care or whatever that challenge is coming up in their lives, and help them transform. And I started it because I wasn't making as much impact with the nonprofit as I wanted, because we go into the systems and private, public, charter, homeschool world, all the different worlds, not just saying that private or public's not good, but it's this It's all different sectors. And there was a lot of inconsistency. There wasn't, like when I was fighting, there was focus. When I was wrestling, there was focus. And what I found is if you don't have focus, you don't have real results.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've listened to like the Bill Gates and the Elon Musks and all these people at this point, because I used to be in the schools and with the kids every day. And now I'm with executives and investors and, consistently, but I love going back into the schools to impact the kids' lives. But it's a system change on its focus. Like, what is the outcome you want to create, and put 100% of your effort every day into that outcome. And so we get to transform lives. I mean, we're launching 3 more schools next year, and then we're going to really start ramping up, and we'll have our own online school system set up 6th through 12th grade within 2 years. My biggest thing is we have a lot of divide. We have a lot of perspective divide, I think, but we're really like at the core, we're human beings. And so how do we serve one another? But I find that a lot of people, if you can't see it, you can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids that want to be pro athletes, they can see it, but they can't see themselves training every day. Like I just one of my students that just came here from the Bahamas, he's telling me Jamaica. Sorry, take it back. Jamaica. I was talking a little smack to him. I go, man, you playing ball, I could whoop you. And I always do to my kids to see like how hard they'll push. And this one kid goes, let's play. So I took him to the court last Sunday, and I beat him 21-6. I'm 40 years old, and there's no way a 16, 17-year-old should be able to beat me. I mean, shouldn't be able to beat me, right? Like they should be practicing every day at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about shooting and coming to the court consistently. He's like, I don't have a hoop. I don't have this. And I go, you need to learn how to dribble.
Mm.
So the one thing I learned from pro wrestling and from fighting and from business and from my mentors is the basics in life are the foundation. If you do not have the foundation, the love, the commitment, the follow through, the loyalty, those basic things, then what is there at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice, man. Very nice. Awesome stuff. You ready to head into these questions?
I'm going deep already. We're only 12 minutes in. We're
good, man.
Go for it.
Stuff.
What do you got?
Let's see. Here we go. Guillermo's asking, Tough Enough 2004 wasn't a show, so how was the routine of excessive, or was it just the SmackDown challenges?
So the SmackDown challenges were what the voting was based on, but we trained anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week behind the scenes, in the ring, in the gym, promos, a bunch of different things. I got good sleep. The other guys went out and had a lot more fun than I did. What they call fun, I call fun winning. But it was interesting. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. But the scenes of what everybody saw was a very small piece of it.
He's also asking, what was your favorite challenge and which one you hated the most?
Obviously, my favorite is sticking Kurt and almost snapping his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's really interesting is Kurt has accomplished a lot to get to what he did, his level, who he became in not only as an amateur athlete, a college, pro, not pro, but Olympic, and then professional wrestler after that is, 1 in 100 million people. I mean, it is very difficult to achieve what he's achieved. And it was amazing to be able to see how they positioned us in different areas. He took a challenge. And I believe I did what I was supposed to do at that time. And I'm very blessed that, they didn't let me break his arm, because someday I might be able to still whoop him.
Is that an open challenge to Kurt Angle right now in 2021?
Of course it is.
Rito's asking, what was it like dealing with Kurt Angle during the famous shoot incident? And after that, what were your thoughts of him? Before that, the second question, the second half of the question was challenge you hated the most from Guillermo.
Which challenge I hate the most? I didn't hate any of them. I put a game face on to be challenged on them. I mean, think about this. The boxing one with Miz was great. The jousting one, I whooped everybody. I knew I was really good at jousting. I've done it a little bit before in the past. Dressing like a woman, okay, that's kind of weird, indifferent, interesting for me, but it worked. I was, I didn't win first place. Okay, I took second. I was pretty hot. So I think I had a lot of fun with a lot of them. But I was prepared. I was doing promos every day for 2-3 hours when everybody else was out at a club or whatever else. Like, I was very committed to creating a lot of fun for myself and being really present to get the most amount of learning and joy and everything else out of it. So I wouldn't say I disliked any of them. It was a lot of fun every single time.
Cool.
What was the next question?
What was it like dealing with Kurt Angle during the famous shoot incident? And after that, what were your thoughts of him?
I think he's a little bit of a punk. It showed when I went to go shake his hand, and he didn't want to shake my hand. I get it. I showed him up on TV. He wasn't expecting me to do that. Those were the ground rules. You can listen to the ref that actually stopped it early. There's a video online that I videotaped. I'm like, what's the deal? You want to tell the truth at one point? So, I mean, it is what it is. They shouldn't have put him in that position. He shouldn't have challenged me. He didn't know that I had some skill set to be able to jack him up. And his game is wrestling and mine is MMA. So I think he's somewhat a bully or a punk. But at the end of the day, if he was smart, he would take his ego and throw it out the window and give me a chance to run a show with him and build something with him at some point. I would still be open today. Who knows? But it's a pretty interesting scenario.
Yeah. Did he have anything to do with the receipt that they gave you at the Royal Rumble with Benoit and Holly?
My thought is I have no clue. I don't know for a fact, but I think that's the interesting part was the first day of Tough Enough when I went on SmackDown. I looked at Al Snow and I go, can I learn how to set up the ring? And he looked at everybody else. He goes, go set up the ring. So some people weren't very happy with me, but I'll explain why I had the philosophy in the very beginning. My father at 12 years old, he owns a small company and he was the president and CEO, and he brought me in at 12 years old. He goes, you're a man, you're coming to work. So in the summertime, I would show up with him and he would teach me different skill sets. And the first one he taught me was how to clean the toilets in the bathroom. And he said, if you learn every single little job, he goes, it's not necessarily a little job, but you might think of it as a little job. But if the toilets aren't clean, if these, like, what people necessarily don't want to do in life, and people maybe as a pro athlete will look down on people that do what they call small jobs or cleaning up or whatever else. I believe those are the biggest jobs you can have, because if things aren't built, the ring isn't built right, you get hurt. If the toilets aren't clean, you get infections. There's these things in life that people don't understand what it takes. And the reason I went into it and saying to Al Snow, hey, can I go learn how to build? I wanted to understand the pieces of the business. And because of that, a lot of the wrestlers, some of them didn't like me. Some of them did. I didn't really, either way, I was indifferent. I wanted to be there to learn and grow and do the best I could do every day.
Yeah. Rico was asking, any in-ring return or special appearances on the Indies plan?
So I'm really focused on, I've been speaking a bunch. I've been in 16 states this year in a district with DC. I've been traveling a ton with my son. He goes with me, my wife, when I travel. I do not have, I haven't made time to do indie. My focus is on schools, building out schools and impacting the next generation. So at some point I might do some more that is linked with when I do community-based stuff or build out a new school, but not yet.
All right. Reese was asking what happened with you and Kenny Bowen. That was the OVW. There was like a Yahoo article or something like that back in the day about OVW.
I have no clue. I have no clue what happened. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember. If there was something that I did, Kenny, I apologize, bro. I have no clue what I ever did to piss you off, but you're pissed for some reason. It is what it is. I don't know. And it's interesting how people go to like the media to talk smack versus actually just going to the source to solve the problem. I mean, I see this in everywhere today. I see this in politics. I see this in corporations. I see this in communities. I see this in the nonprofit world. I see it everywhere. Yeah. And there's like lack of accountability for people just being real. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. I think it was some remarks you made about OVW only having a certain amount of people there or something like that during the interview that you have for Yahoo.
I have no clue.
I think it was early on. Yeah, it was something like that. I remember vaguely, but I think it was something about you saying LVW only had so many people, and then Bowen responded saying about if you should have drawn more people or something like that. Something to that nature. Yeah.
So it's interesting, but OVW is packed every week I was there. Like it was smash packed. Like how would we not draw more? Like it was a great crowd. Yeah. So if I was talking smack, I was talking smack because somebody told me to talk smack in a promo. So it's all promo. It's all BS. Like I had amazing friends that I built in Kentucky, and so it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Arpit is asking if you watch AEW. If yes, which wrestlers have impressed you the most?
I haven't. I've been out of the whole wrestling world. People ask me different questions, and I'm real. I haven't. I hear things once in a while, but I'm the closest person that I'm close to now is David Heath, Gangrel, in South Florida, and like I'm going to his wedding in February. Like amazing guy, absolutely love him. So I watch a little bit about what he does and traveling, but I'm completely out of the loop.
Mm-hmm. James is asking, first saw you on WWE television during the 2005 Royal Rumble. I was like competing in that match and facing off against Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit as well that night.
I really like both.
Give us the backstory about that, because I know like that's what I was asking. What happened at the Rumble? Was that a receipt kind of orchestrated by Kurt Angle?
I don't know. I can't. Like if I said yes, it would be a lie. I have no clue. I would guess it's something like that, but at the end of the day, I don't understand because I was training with Hardcore Holly and some other people. They would bump me around and I would get back up. It's the same thing I did with Frank Shamrock when I was in MMA or Javier Mendez. Like one day in American Kickboxing Academy, Javier Mendez, I think I was 17, and I looked at a guy in the ring and I go, "Hey, I talked to that guy earlier. I'd love to train with him." And he goes, "You don't want to train with that guy." And I'm like, "No, I want to train with him." He's like, No, you don't want to train with that guy. I'm like, "Is there a reason why?" He goes, "No, you just don't want to." So I was already talking to the guy with training, and I go, "Okay." And I'm like, we end up in the ring the next week. I get begging this guy to train with me. Like he looked really good, and he beat the snot out of me. And I didn't know who he was, but he lost to Tyson back in the day when Tyson was knocking everybody out in the first round. He was one of those guys that like got knocked out in the third or fourth round or something like that. And so what's interesting is like after like two or 3 weeks of maybe 3 or 4 weeks of getting whooped once a week by this guy, he didn't show back up. And I go, "Hav, where is he today?" He goes, "He just beat you. Like he just kept beating you up every week." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's how I'm learning." And Hav goes, "Do you even know who he is?" And I'm like, "I have no clue." So for me, I was learning from these guys, and it's very interesting in MMA. They want to really teach you and grow. And in WWE, it's just a little bit different. It's like you got a time slot, and that's my time slot. If you outshine me or get better, you might take my time slot. And for me, if you have a better brand that's bringing more eyeballs, you get paid more on pay-per-views. You get paid more because more people show up. You get paid more because, like, overall the brand is bigger, but people don't understand that. When The Rock and John Cena was on their top of the top of the top, I heard The Rock was bringing in like $60,000 a night or whatever in gimmick sales. Like, he was smashing. It was like $13 million a year, or something like that, and it's nothing compared to what he's making today. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know for a fact, but that's a lot of gimmick and pay-per-view sales. But think about how much everybody else was making, because people were spending money because they were into the brand, they were into the wrestlers, they were into the concept. So it's just very interesting that people don't understand. Like, you bring up the water, and every boat rises.
Yeah. Prete was asking, what do you think of CM Punk returning to wrestling after 7 years?
CM Punk's, he's a unique guy. He's definitely driven, and I think it's great. I think it's great that he returns. I think it's great for the brand. From what I've heard from a few people, is the brand needs some help, at least WWE. And so it's, at the end of the day, I mean, I think CM Punk and bringing in some other guys, but if you don't have that guy or those guys to really build and be at the top of the brand to support everybody else's growth, then it's really challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. From what you know, even if it's little, what's your thoughts about today's WWE product? Kamara's asking.
I haven't seen as much lately. I've just heard that they're not doing as well. I mean, I think that they've had some amazing talent go through there. I think it's a lot different world today than it was 15, 20 years ago when I was on. So it's just it's a different, I think it's gone a little more entertainment and, just a different type of person over the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Rizu's asking, do you have any Jim Cornette stories?
Jim was interesting. Nothing big. He was very direct. He didn't, I don't think, appreciate the whole MMA side. He liked the whole WWE, how to control everything else. But he was definitely very, very good at what he did. And I always respected him at a very high level.
Nice. Elvis is asking, did you ever wrestle in Colorado?
If I did, I don't remember. I think I did once, but I don't remember.
How much do you know about MJF? Prete is asking, is he the best in wrestling today? I know that you don't know too much about AEW, but what do you know about MJF?
Nope.
No, nothing.
Good question.
Reedu's asking, what's your reaction when you heard about Benoit's passing?
It was sad. Very interesting story. I don't know all the details, but it seems suspicious of what was told to the media.
Interesting. Okay. Elaborate a little bit more on that. Suspicious in what way?
I don't know. I mean, I just heard that somebody used his phone a couple hours after he died. I heard that, it doesn't, there's some weird stuff that happens these days. I mean, I'm a deputy sheriff. I do a reserve program, and there's some really interesting stuff that happens, like in this world. And, I think that people don't always look into things deeply. And the challenges with law enforcement is a very small amount of major crimes get solved because there's only 675,000 sworn law enforcement in the country. That includes local, county, state, and federal. 675,000. There's 330 million people in America. So it's just, to me, it's not that many people to solve every single problem we have. And so I think there's for me, when people were saying defund the law enforcement, I was like, you should try that for like a week in your community. Sure. Like, law enforcement should walk out for a week in your community. Let's see what happens. Like, people don't understand, like, are there some bad apples? Sure. In everything, there's bad apples. Do I think that there should be some added training? Sure. I do it. I train law enforcement in 16 states this year. And I'm proud to add a ton of value to a ton of people that really want to be better leaders in their community. And I see it all the time. People don't see it all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm super blessed that I get to not only serve, but I get to serve people that serve more and longer than I have.
Very interesting. Got an interesting question before we go regarding the Benoit thing. Okay, so I know that you're a deputy sheriff. Okay, my PhD is in forensic psychology. All right.
Nice.
So, thank you. So here's an interesting question for you. Do you think? So I guess it's a two-parter. One, with the someone used his phone. How long does the files last for someone to possibly trace that? You know what? Was that 07? So 14 years later, could that be traced and pinged to someone's home? In hindsight, that long of a gap.
So I think there's a couple different levels on that from what I've experienced or seen. One would be the provider. Does the provider keep that, right?
Okay.
The other is if they do, then could it be subpoenaed? Sure. If they don't, that's out. The other side is how long does maybe the NSA or CIA keep it? I believe at this point that they or a different group on the federal level keep every trace of every piece of data forever. That's why Google this when you get a second. Google Jeff Bezos, Department of Defense contract.
Okay.
And just good dive. Like, it's genius. Like, he didn't just make his billions on selling products and books. What Jeff Bezos owns with Amazon and his platforms and networks and companies are deeply and rooted into our system. And I'm not saying that's not good. I'm just saying it's a fact that an Amazon AWS servers, are used for DoD or CIA or, different platforms. I don't know for a fact. I've never seen that. I've just read articles on it. So don't take my word for it. I've just read articles. So, sometimes people state facts and I'm like, no, unless you're there and you sign the contract, you don't really know. But I think there's two things. What's your thought on it? I think there's, provider and there's the feds. Like, what's your thought?
I think it would be interesting from a journalistic standpoint. I don't see, I think from what we know, it was a double murder, suicide. That's from the data that we have. Okay, and there's nothing in me that overshadows the fact that right now, from what we have, that's it that happened. But I'm like I said, I'm a psychology doctor, so I've written papers on Benoit. I'm considering getting one of my old papers peer reviewed to be published in an article in a article series, in a peer review series. But that's something from you from a law enforcement standpoint. It's like, is Chris Benoit's case worth reopening just to see?
So
that's a really interesting thing.
My thought from my minimal experience in law enforcement, but from seeing different scenes, depending on how in depth they went with, I would say not only what the scene looked like, but how the bodies were. On top of that, maybe the text messages, phone calls from voicemails to him and the wife, like all these different factors. I think there's like where he was earlier that day. How long ago did he buy the gun? Like diving into like all these different details. The challenge is for some reason that case, I don't know if it's closed or not, but we heard about it and it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I have experienced is, I mean, my department is an amazing department. They do awesome stuff. My sheriff is amazing. But what I've experienced with seeing other people, hearing stories than actually been there and experienced, is that if something comes and it blows up because there's media attention, it's either going to get a lot of eyeballs or it's going to get shut down, depending on what really is going on. So people have a lot of power these days. And it's, you know, it's a unique world out there. It's a unique world. So I would say if somebody, you know, in the local law enforcement, somebody's got to reopen it. Like, to be able to be, it's got to be local, county, fed, right? Like, but they have to have something concrete. So if they don't have something evidence-based, concrete, you know, you're not going to get something like that open back up.
Yeah. Yeah. Really interesting take. You know, so many people talk about the Chris Benoit, you know, story from so many different angles. You know, and I thought, like, Deputy Sheriff, ought to be interesting in your thoughts on, wonder if the case was reopened. You know what I mean? And I'm a journalist. I don't have much time to dive so much into it, but you know, it's one of those things from a journalistic standpoint, you know, because, you know, serial killer cases has been reopened because of journalists starting books and writing things, you know, 30 years later. So it'd be interesting.
You know what you might be able to do is get a friend that's a lawyer and subpoena the court case. Not subpoena the court case. There was no court case. Subpoena the records of the investigation. And you should get pictures, text messages. Like, they must have a phone there, right? They must have everything.
Yeah.
But you could probably put something pretty interesting together. And if you're doing a PhD, you could probably go really in depth and get some like interviews with some professionals in the space. I mean, he killed his family. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, and I know people are stressed in different industries, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. This fits right up my alley with being a journalist and a forensic psychology doctor. So, you know, I'm intrigued by this conversation, Daniel Puder, man. I'm intrigued.
I mean, from what I said, does it make sense? Does it not? What's your thought from your perspective?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. All right. Well, very interesting conversation, Daniel Puder. Well, let the listeners know about My Life, My Power one more time, my man.
Hey, you guys, if you're in South Florida and you want to be a part of an amazing school, you're 6th through 12th grade, check us out. Go to mylifemypower.org or go to MLMPI Prep. Google MLMPI Prep Academy. Those are our academies. We're launching West Virginia next year, West Palm next year. So we'd love to have students that want a futuristic education where we get to teach mindset and direction and amazing tools and skill sets at a very young age.
mylifemypower.org, right?
Yeah, yep.
Very nice.
Thank you, bro.
I am actually sending that in the chat. So as soon as we get off here, which is in just a moment, hop on that, click on that link right there, and go check out his site. Daniel, it's been a pleasure, my man.
Have a blessed week, bro. I really appreciate you putting me on tonight. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, man, talking to you. Have a good Thanksgiving as well.
You too. Have a blessed Thanksgiving.